Sudan has been plagued by decades of civil wars, political instability, and human rights violations. The country has been divided into two regions, the north, which is predominantly Arab and Muslim, and the south, which is home to various ethnic and religious groups. The conflict between the two regions escalated in 1983, when the then-President Jafar Numeri imposed Islamic law on the whole country, sparking a rebellion by the Sudan People's Liberation Army, SPLA, in the south. The war lasted until 2005, when a Comprehensive Peace Agreement, CPA, was signed, granting autonomy to the south and paving the way for a referendum on its independence in 2011. The referendum resulted in an overwhelming vote for secession, and South Sudan became the world's newest nation. However, the CPA did not address the root causes of the conflict, such as the marginalization of other regions and groups, the distribution of wealth and power, and the role of religion and ethnicity in politics. Moreover, new conflicts erupted in Sudan's western region of Darfur and its southern states of South Kordofan and Blue Nile, where rebel groups fought against the central government over issues of autonomy, resources, and identity. The government responded with brutal counterinsurgency campaigns that involved aerial bombardments, militia attacks, and mass displacement of civilians. The international community condemned the atrocities committed by both sides and imposed sanctions and an arms embargo on Sudan. In 2009, the International Criminal Court, ICC, issued an arrest warrant for President Omar al-Bashir for crimes against humanity and war crimes in Darfur. The political situation in Sudan changed dramatically in April 2019, when a popular uprising led by the Forces of Freedom and Change, FFC, a coalition of opposition parties, civil society groups and professional associations, toppled al-Bashir after 30 years in power. The uprising was triggered by economic hardships, corruption and repression under his rule. The military intervened and ousted al-Bashir, forming a Transitional Military Council, TMC, to run the country. However, the protesters demanded a civilian-led transition and continued their sit-ins and demonstrations. The TMC initially agreed to negotiate with the FFC, but on June 3, it launched a violent crackdown on the protesters, killing more than 100 people and injuring hundreds more. The violence sparked international condemnation and mediation efforts by regional and international actors, such as the African Union, AU, Ethiopia, and Saudi Arabia. After weeks of deadlock, the TMC and the FFC reached a power-sharing deal on July 17, 2019. The deal stipulated that a sovereign council composed of 5 military members, 5 civilian members and 1 civilian agreed upon by both sides would oversee the transition for 39 months. A prime minister nominated by the FFC would head a cabinet of 20 ministers from civilian backgrounds. A legislative council of 300 members would be formed within 3 months, with 67% from the FFC and 33% from other forces not associated with al-Bashir's regime. The deal also established an independent investigation committee into the June 3 massacre and granted immunity to TMC members from prosecution. On August 4, 2019, the TMC and the FFC signed a draft constitutional charter for the 2019 transitional period, the 2019 Constitutional Declaration, which replaced Sudan's 2005 interim constitution and provided a legal framework for the transition. The document outlined the roles and responsibilities of the transitional institutions, as well as the rights and freedoms of citizens. It also included a chapter on comprehensive peace issues, which required a peace agreement to be reached within 6 months of the start of the transition with all armed groups involved in Sudan's conflicts. The chapter also recognized the right of self-determination for South Kordofan and Blue Nile states within a united Sudan. Furthermore, it committed to addressing issues such as land ownership, transitional justice, security sector reform, disarmament, demobilization and reintegration, DDR, development and reconstruction. The signing of the 2019 Constitutional Declaration was hailed as a historic achievement that marked a new era for Sudan. It was also seen as an opportunity to end decades of violence and suffering in Sudan's war-torn regions and to build an inclusive and democratic society that respects human rights and diversity. However, many challenges remain for implementing the peace process successfully. Some of these challenges include securing trust and cooperation among all parties involved in the negotiations, balancing competing interests and demands among different regions and groups, addressing root causes of conflict such as poverty, inequality, and marginalization, ensuring accountability for past crimes and violations without jeopardizing reconciliation, reforming institutions such as the judiciary, security forces, and civil service, mobilizing resources and support from domestic and international sources, dealing with external influences such as regional rivalries and geopolitical interests. The Sudanese peace process is a complex and delicate endeavor that requires patience, compromise, and goodwill from all stakeholders. It is also a rare opportunity to transform Sudan into a peaceful, prosperous, and democratic country that can serve as a model for others in Africa and beyond.